Welcome to the Selina Ray Show. I'm Selina, and today I have my guest, Joanne Cohen. Joanne is a holistic health counselor. Welcome, Joanne.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
I'm so glad that we finally got this filming going and that we get to sit down together and have this conversation.
Yes.
So, a holistic health counselor. Could you tell me what is that?
Yeah. So sometimes you hear the word holistic health counselor,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes holistic health coach.
Okay.
So I call myself a holistic health coach, but they're really similar.
Okay.
So what it is a person who works with somebody from a really holistic point of view.
Okay.
And that's a little bit different than our medical model, what we're used to.
Mm-hmm.
A holistic point of view is looking at the whole person. So a person's physical health, a person's emotional health, a person's spiritual health,
Okay.
and realizing that there's no separation between those, that they all create health in a person.
Okay.
And then the word coach, I
Mm-hmm.
just want to talk about that
Yes.
because in our society we think of coach when we think of sports.
Right.
And so it's kind of similar to that because a coach is somebody who cheers you on and gives you information so that you can achieve the results that you want.
Okay.
So that's what I feel like I'm also doing is, a person tells me what health results they want, and I get to hold the space and be their personal advocate, giving them information, creating plans for them, and getting the results because that's what people want.
Holding them accountable.
Holding them accountable.
Right. And that's why you hire someone who's a coach to keep you on track. It's like a personal trainer.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So, you have to get up and do the work.
Exactly.
So you don't do the work for them. You help them along on the journey that they requested.
Yes.
So
And that's a great point
Mhm.
because we're used to somebody else doing the work for us.
Right.
So this is kind of a little paradigm shift of I assist you and I
Right.
support you.
Right.
And really I want my clients to achieve everything that they want, whether it's health or radiance or losing that last 20 pounds or
Exactly.
getting rid of bloating and gas, but
Mhm.
they're the ones that have to do it.
That's interesting because when we talk about health, we often look at, we think of medical doctors, and when we're not, we feel unhealthy or we're having a medical issue. Do you work with people who have like medical issues and they're on medication, and then it's like you work with the medical community in a way, right? If it's a diabetes issue or something like that.
Yeah.
Do you work with people like
If
that?
somebody has more of a serious health condition, then I like to have them come to me after they've seen a doctor so that
Okay.
I have the lab work
Okay.
and I can really understand what's going on rather than somebody coming to me and saying, I think I have diabetes.
Right.
Can you treat me?
Right.
So I like bridging both the allopathic medical world and what I do because we both have strengths,
Exactly.
and we can fill in the gaps of
Mhm. And sometimes if they're on medication of any kind, you can help them kind of counterbalance or counteract any kind of symptoms or side effects.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. I mean, we see
So-
those commercials where it's
Right.
like
I know.
a
Right.
list
It makes
of
you
all the
afraid. You
side
don't ever want to get any of those those problems. I'm not taking that medication because
Right.
I'm not really into having blackouts or whatever
Right.
they come with. Right.
Right.
So, what had you decide to do this kind of work, and what's your background, and coming to this point today?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of holistic health coaches have like a pivotal moment or something that happens to them that makes them do the work that they do.
Mhm.
But mine, I didn't really have that. Mine was more just like a flow of one thing to the next,
Okay.
and that's how I came to this place.
Mhm.
So if I think back,
Mhm.
all the way back,
Mhm.
I used to spend a lot of time with my grandma in her garden,
Mm.
and she would have us, picking tomatoes and strawberries and, just getting our hands in the soil, and she would make
Right.
food from the garden. And so I kind of grew up with that mentality.
Mm.
And when I moved away to college, I moved to Vermont, and I was finding myself getting sick a lot, like just colds, flus.
Right.
It was so cold there. And for some reason, I don't know what it was in me, but I decided I really wanted to use herbs rather than go to a regular doctor. And the town that I was living in had an herb store.
Oh.
It was amazing, and I can still remember the smell of the herb store. And I went in there and bought all these herbs to make a tea, and felt better. And I just thought, like, this is amazing.
Did you have a book? Like, did they kind of coach you or help you
think
at the
they must
store
have,
to
yeah,
help
they
you
must have.
to tell you what herbs would help you with, you know, the flu season?
Yeah,
right?
I think they must have.
Okay.
And I just, you know, I tested it on myself, and it worked.
Sure.
And so I started, living in New England, you have access to, you know, renowned herbalists. And so I started studying and apprenticing, and you know, just sort of went into each other. And then I remember a couple years later being back in that same herb store and finding a book called Plant Spirit Medicine by Joanne Cohen. And I read it, and it was about how physical health issues manifest because of our emotional health.
I love it. Right.
And I was like, this is the piece I've been looking for.
Oh, I love that. Don't you love the synchronicity
Yeah.
of how things just kind of, when you're ready,
Yeah.
you know, the teacher shows up.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. And it was in a book in a bookstore. And so I signed up and did his training. And then that led me to flower essences, which again are more about your emotional health history and how healing that heals many physical issues.
Right.
So, yeah, it was sort of just more like one thing into another, but I tested it all on myself.
Right.
And so I know it works, you know, and I see in my clients the results.
Right. And that's, I think, a lot of us, I mean, I've worked with herbs for many years, and I believe them. I think that there's a reason why the ancients used plant medicine. You know, they knew something.
Yeah.
And it's great to be able to go back now and know that that's available to us as an alternative.
Yeah.
And you know, as a you know, how do you say it? Like you said, the bridge.
Yeah, you just bridge
with
them
Western
together,
medicine,
yeah.
right?
And I think, you know, what's amazing about herbal medicine is it's really accessible to people.
Okay.
You could walk into a grocery store and buy garlic, which is, you know, a natural antibiotic. You can buy ginger, which is amazing for the digestive system. So a lot of those simpler ways to work on yourself, it's accessible.
Right.
When somebody has a lot of issues, because that's usually what happens, one physical issue leads to another, then it's more time for like a customized, unique formula.
And the plan.
Yeah,
the plan.
and the plan.
And the plan. So how does this, we've talked about the emotional body and the physical body, with the spiritual body, because it's part of the whole, right?
Yeah.
And holistic, that's probably where that comes from, right? So where did that come from, that piece for you? How did that, what are your experiences with that, so that you knew that those were
all the pieces?
Yeah.
I think that when I started working with people, it's very easy to work on the physical. You know, we have an ache, we have a pain, we have a physical way that's disrupting our life, and we want to change that.
Right.
And I think the more people start working on the physical, they also realize how much of their emotional life is affecting their life. So is their work life great? Is their relationship great?
Stress, right?
What's their level of stress? All these other questions. And then I think it just leads into the spiritual aspect of who am I, and what am I here to do, and what is my life purpose, and how do I want to live my life? And so I think that's what I've seen is most people don't come to me wanting the spiritual piece. It's part of the process of healing.
Right.
And I feel like what I always tell my clients is we're on a journey together. And it really is a journey.
Yes.
You know, it's not like coming in and I give you something and the next day you're okay.
Right.
You know, it's the journey of unfoldment.
And the process that we all go through. And I know that with the spiritual aspect and the physical and emotional, if there's anything out of balance, it affects all of it.
Right.
So when a typical client would come in, let's say a female client would come in, what kind of issues typically will women come to you? Do you have like a certain thing that you see often today? Like
yes.
there's a thread that connects that there's women come to you for what?
Yeah, so women come to me with pelvic issues.
Okay.
Pelvic issues and intestinal issues are really the biggest thing.
Okay.
I think women store a lot in their pelvic area, and it manifests as fibroids, cysts, endometriosis, PMS, infertility.
Okay.
Those are, I mean, you ask a lot of your girlfriends, and many of them have experienced those.
Right.
And then the other thing is people have terrible bloating, terrible gas, terrible indigestion. And those are the two biggest things.
Okay.
Not to say that like you have one or the other, but that's what I see most of.
And then how would you treat, I mean, no, I come in and I'm saying, you know, that I have, you know, I'm in my late 40s now, and so I'm going through that transition that women go through, and I'm wondering how you would help with this certain symptoms that women have and the hormonal issues. Do you work with that? And
Yeah,
you do.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the biggest things I do. So when I sit down with somebody, I'm asking them their story. You know, we all have a story that we like to share. So I get a picture of who they are, like their physical health history, their emotional health history, their current life, and it sort of creates a picture for me.
Okay.
And in that picture, and based on what they're coming to me for, like what results they want, I get to create a plan for them.
Okay.
And so I use botanical medicine. You know, I love making herbal formulas for people because
mad scientist.
Yeah, you can just get so customized.
Right, exactly.
You know, like, are you having hormonal imbalance? Are you having endometriosis or fibroids or low energy? We can create something for you.
Okay.
And I really feel like people, women, you know, anyone, we have an affinity to botanical medicine. You know, we need the trees to breathe. The trees need us to live.
Yes.
And so I think that it's really effective. I think it's an amazing medicine.